right, welcome to another Friday night of Keto Rocks Radio. I'm Jim Hobbs, and down below, or this way or that way, it's my carnivore co-host, Brian Damaged Forsythe of the band Kix and Rhino Bucket. And we have a returning guest with us tonight. So you probably have seen her before if you watched some of our later episodes or earlier episodes, however you want to take a look at it. But Lynda Haser is here with us, and Lynda, welcome back.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
It's great to have you returning, and you may be wondering why we're having you back, but I think keto's played such a role. Now, last time we had you on, I think we had you on back in February or March somewhere, because you had just got your panels done, and we were going over your panels.
I think you're right.
Have you had your panels done again, or is that the last time?
No, that was the last time. Yeah, I probably won't have them done again. Maybe in the summer.
Okay. Brian, did you ever get your panels done? We haven't talked about that.
Nah, I've been meaning to, but I just haven't gotten around to it. I've sort of been up in the air because the last couple times I had them done, since I don't have a doctor, I just order the labs myself, and the place I get them, they have these different bundles, so you can get like a price for a bunch of different tests, but they're never, I have to sort of compromise, and then I end up having to do add-on tests to get other things. So I was looking into this other, what do I do? Walk-in labs or something is what I've been using, but I've been looking into Quest Labs has this thing. I don't know if you follow Ben Greenfield or not.
Yeah, doesn't he have the panels, the discounted ones? You pick 1, 2, or 3 in.
Yeah, they're not really discounted, but they're. I guess if you were to put together that amount of tests, it would probably be 3 times that much. So I guess it is discounted, but it's still a hefty price. So I've been contemplating which way to go with that.
Just so people who are watching us know what we're talking about. So what Brian is saying is he has gone to see a doctor, but he does not have a doctor now. And so instead of going to a doctor that writes the prescription or the I guess what is it called, to go get your lab work done, he just gets the lab work done yourself, which makes a lot of sense. You're just eliminating the middleman, because when you get the numbers back, they tell you the range it should be in. So you get a chance, or just go to Google or go to a doctor's page, and you can see what the range is supposed to be. Then if something's out of whack, you can go to a doctor, I guess.
Yeah, and there's ones that they leave off. They sort of just go by the generic tests, and there's a couple that I have to add on if I want to see, like the A1C and the C-peptide.
Now, Lynda, why do you say that you're not going to go get the test? Why not in a while? What's making you say that? Or you just feel so good, or what's the reason?
No, I feel good, but also I was really lucky when I had my original. I sort of just took a list of tests I wanted my doctor to run, and she was able to get it all covered by my insurance. And and she was able to justify that because of the large amount of weight I had lost. But I'm pretty certain that at this point it would be a stretch for her to justify that, just to retest that. But like I said, I may just see if she'll do it again in the summer, or pay out of pocket just to see how if anything has improved even more.
Right. Now, why don't you tell people who, if they're watching you for the first time or watching this episode for the first time, a little bit about your background, what made you go keto, and what the results have been.
Okay. So I think probably like most people out there that have struggled with their weight, I probably tried every diet program that was ever made. And I had an acquaintance of mine who had tried keto. So I had sort of done a little bit of research, but honestly, very ironically, it was because I went to a Kix show with my brother 2 years ago. And it was the show that actually I was just at. It was the Black Friday show that they do in Harrisburg here. And after the show, I just sort of started trolling through Facebook to see what the band was up to, and happened to come across Brian's Facebook page. And he was sharing videos of Dr. Barry. So, of course, we were coming up on Christmas, and I definitely was not going to, set myself up for failure of the holidays. But what I did was I spent the holidays sort of watching those videos and taking notes. And like everyone else at New Year's, I said, well, okay, let's, I'm going to lose weight this year. But Dr. Barry does such a good job of isolating topics in short snippets so that, it's not like you're sitting down and you're committing 45 minutes or an hour of your time to something. It's 10 minutes, it's 15 minutes. And there's a lot of really valuable information. And he made the outside people that I had talked to made keto sound so complicated. Well, you have macros and you have this and you have that. And Dr. Barry just made it so simple. And I was like, well, I think, I want to give this a try. But if I'm being 100% honest, I was 100% sure I was going to fail at it, simply because the idea was to cut out carbs. And there's just absolutely no way you can be as heavy as I was unless you're abusing carbohydrates. There isn't. It was a sugar problem in every sense of the word.
You were a carbaholic.
A carbaholic, exactly. So I didn't give it much of a chance. But what I found was, and Dr. Barry does a great job of, hey, listen, don't go 0 to 100, in 5 seconds, do it in steps. And so I took that advice, and, I'm not going to tell people that it was easy. Like the first 3 weeks, you're coming off of sugar, you're coming off of carbohydrates. There are some things you need to get through, but there's tools out there to get you through that. And once I got past, really it was the first week, but the first 3 weeks after that, I just started feeling really great. And you start going, wow, this actually isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And then when you go from this isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be to, wow, this is actually really great. And then you're starting to see the scale move. And so, I had been a staunch Weight Watchers person. So I was like, well, I don't have a meeting, and I'm not paying anybody any money, and I don't have to go and stand on a scale every week in front of a bunch of people. Like, I was like, who's going to keep me honest on this? But it just clicked with me. And so I didn't need anybody to keep me honest. I just, downloaded a carb app and carb manager app and watched Dr. Barry.
Awesome. Now, how long were you doing Weight Watchers? I mean, that's a prevalent name in the diet industry. My mother did Weight Watchers, and most people who, make that New Year's resolution, the majority of Americans make, all go, well, let me just find my local Weight Watcher group.
Let me put it to you this way. I could have bought myself a lot of nice things with the amount of money. I probably had been doing Weight Watchers on and off since I was probably in my early 20s. Even before I had what I would officially call a weight problem, it just what, I have to lose some weight. Well, go to Weight Watchers, they're going to help you. The idea was they're going to help you learn how to eat right. So, it had just been on and off most of my adult life, and I had some success with it. But what I found, and I'm not disparaging it if it works for people, I think that's fine, but I was always hungry. And I used to laugh at the commercials that would be on TV. Oh, I was never hungry. I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? I was always hungry. Like, I would wake up in the morning and my very first thought was, what am I going to eat today? What am I going to eat today? How many times am I going to eat today? When can I eat again? Like, I'd eat and then I'd go, when can I eat again? And I think what was so amazing to me was, and people don't believe me, but I swear it's the truth. There was a point in time, and I can't pinpoint the day, but there was a point in time on keto where I went, oh my God, I didn't think about food today. Like, I'm not hungry. I'll eat when I eat. And that was probably one of the most amazing things to me, was because I spent most of my life thinking about, when am I going to eat? What can I eat? How can I eat? So it's amazing. It's a really nice freedom to have.
It is. And I think that's what you're sharing with what you went through is very telling, because I think your body, which is your body telling you those signals, when you're doing, whether it's Weight Watchers or some other calorie counting diet, your body's not getting the nutrients and the vitamins, the minerals, everything that it needs to say to your body, we're full, we have everything we need. When you're on that type of calorie counting diet, you do wake up and you're starving, because your body is starving. Your body's like, wait a minute, but when you eat the right food, so that's this meat, eggs, your body's getting everything that it needs to say, okay, we're good. And when you get into that, I'll just call it the good state or the good place, your body is totally comfortable and saturated and is able to go without. And I know we'll get to this point, but I know you now have done 3-day fast, because I've done them with you with our group, and it's amazing. I had some meetings today I left out this morning, and typically I'll have to go, well, maybe I won't leave till like noon and go in and fix myself a meal before I know I'm going to head to some functions and not get home till late. I didn't do that today, so I was about an hour away from, hour and a half away, had some meetings to attend, and I realized that I hadn't planned for being out that long, but I was never hungry. I got home tonight about 6 o'clock, and Peggy and I had made bone broth yesterday. So, and I'm telling you, there's something about the bone broth that my gut and intestinal tract is like rejoices. My body rejoices. It's like a sponge. It goes, yes, this is what we want to live off. This is so good. So I had a cup of bone broth tonight, and I'm totally fine, and I'll be good till 1-2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. But I remember those days of making those New Year's resolutions and counting calories, and you're just going, and you're starving, and all you can think about is, when can I eat again? Why can't I eat again? And you're totally feel like you're being deprived of being starved, and you are.
And then your self-talk, when you don't say, okay, or if you go over your points, or you go, why can't I do this? What is wrong with me that I can't do this? And it feeds into this, I can't lose weight. This is just not for me, or it just is the negative self-talk that you kind of get yourself into when you're on that roller coaster, because you're still consuming the carbs, which is, I think, what's wrong with what the challenge is with that program.
I think Brian is right what he says. I think we all get so fixated on losing weight for the sake of having the scale represent our health, when the reality of it is, if we start to learn and educate ourselves of why we want to be healthy, and understand that we want to be healthy so we can live a long, youthful lifestyle, regardless of what weight that comes out on the scale. And once we lose about counting or seeing the scale fall, because I can tell you, depending on what my schedule is and what time I weigh myself, my weight can jump 5 to 7 pounds up and down, so I don't even worry about, I weigh myself on a regular basis just so I know where I'm at, but it doesn't stress me out if I've gone up 7 pounds, because the next day very well could be dropped 7 pounds.
Right. Yeah, I've noticed, when I first started this thing, I didn't really have that much weight to lose, really, but I did go way down, and then I started coming back up, and I thought maybe I was doing something wrong, but I just realized after a while it's just the body sort of evening out and finding its spot,
Yeah, totally agree with you. So, and to go back to why we want to lose weight, we want to lose weight because we should be feeling better. But the reality of it is, if you're depriving your body of the nutrients that it needs in order to feel good, and you're starving and you're getting discouraged by the scale saying we're not losing any weight here, and then of course you go on a bender because you finally give in to that urge, and I do that plenty of times, where and then of course I justify it because I go, well, if we're gonna go ahead and have one slice of cheesecake or pecan pie, we might as well have the whole pie and just get that urge out of the way. But that's not the best way of anytime you give into the mind, or to the ego, it doesn't end well.
Right. I know. I say that all the time. It's like, I'm better off not giving in, because, I'll get those thoughts. And if I do, then it just makes it easier to do it again and again and again. Because, me being a drug addict and an alcoholic, that's the way that works. And I know how my mind works. And then, I have no control over it once it gets started. So it's kind of a scary thing for me.
Well, not only that, but look how much you've grown and learned to understand that. That's the hardest part for any of us, I think, is to understand that you can't trust the mind and give in to what it's craving. But then, what you and I've learned, Brian, and is reading this book, the gut and the physiology syndrome book, about how your body, even your gut, is trying to communicate to your brain to say, hey, get Jim to have that key lime pie. Like, tonight, I'm telling you, temptations are all around you. So I had to stop by, pick up eggs to make Slinky's food for tomorrow. And, we all know prices for steak is like gone through the roof. But I'm coming around the corner and they have Mrs. Edwards key lime pie, $3.99, which used to be one of my favorite. I'm like, of course, this is what happens, right? This is exactly how it happens. I go, now I really wasn't tempted by it, but I go, my mind, this is how tricky your mind is. Mine goes, that'd be a great gift just to drop off for Trent. He loves key lime pie. And I'm like, yeah, that's not bad. Let me go ahead and grab. Then I go, what the heck are you doing? Why am I going to poison my own son with this key lime pie stuff? But that's how tricky the mind gets, because of course it just wants to keep feeding the poison. And I've already done enough damage to my family for family traditions of eating foods that are not good for us. But your mind doesn't forget that. Your mind tries to justify you getting to the habit of purchasing something. I have not purchased something bad for you. I couldn't tell you when. It's been forever. But it just wants you to. So it's tricky. It is very tricky. And unless you know what you're dealing with, you'll give into it. So kudos to you, Lynda, for finally, starting out on that, not giving up. So when was that switching point for you when you realized, hey, you know what? I really can do this now. I'm succeeding in this.
I think probably when I hit when people around me. So I started this the January before COVID hit. So we were still in the office working. So probably the first time someone in the office said to me, "Are you losing weight?" Because I was humongous. I had lost probably between 35 and 40 pounds before someone even said to me, "Hey, are you losing weight?" So, wow. Yeah. So that was the point where I think that was really, I was like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I am losing weight. I'm doing okay. And I've talked about this before. The fact is, really, after the first week, when you start keto, I think for me anyway, I immediately started to feel better. You can feel the inflammation. You just know the inflammation is leaving your body. Your joints start to hurt less. So it's, you may not see it on the scale. I know there are lots of people that are like, well, I lost 25 pounds in the first month, and that may not be your experience if you start. But you will feel a lot better. And I did feel better on it. So the weight loss was awesome. But was my primary reason for doing it. But at some point a switch just flips and you go, well, now I'm not doing it for that anymore, because I haven't lost weight probably, I don't know, in 10 months. I'm not going to lie. It's frustrating because, you know, I mean, you were talking about the scale, and especially I think for women, we're trained to say this number should say a certain thing because I'm a female. And, you know, so I think if you looked at my number on the scale, you would still say, wow, you know, that's a big number. And it probably is, but I think I'm okay with that because you know, I mean, it's not what it used to be. So, you know, I told you a while ago, I wanted to be half of, you know, and I'm still not half of the person I was when I started, but I mean, I'll get there. And kind of like Brian says, your body sort of kind of goes like this. And your brain does play tricks on you. So I had lost all that weight, and I started going, well, let me see if maybe I can have this, and you know, maybe something I hadn't eaten, you know, and not any necessary, like, let me see if I can reintroduce nuts. Okay, well, okay, so we'll eat nuts. Wow, I really miss nuts. Well, now let me eat wisps, which are a great snack for a lot of people, not a great snack for me, because sort of like what Brian said, I have to be,
you're all or nothing.
I am not good with, I have to follow the rules. My body, and not just for my own mentality, but because my body clearly reacts to any of the additional carbs. Sort of like Dr. Barry says, you know, some people can operate at 100 carbs a day, grams of carbs, some people at 50. I really, really need to be down like around 10, between 10 and 15. And when I don't want to use the word cheap, but when I sort of start adding things back in that take me back up to that 25, 30, 40, my body, the weight just comes right back on.
Now, are you the one? I'm trying to think. Do you make the keto cookies?
I made them for the retreat, but I don't make them regularly.
Okay, because they were delicious, by the way.
Oh, well, that's Brian. That's not me. But no, I don't make stuff like that as something regular, because that's a super trigger for me.
Same with me. I can only do it very occasionally.
Yeah. So like I went to see Emily on Sunday, and I was like, no baking. We're not baking. We're not cooking. We'll have none of that. So.
Yeah. Emily just texted me she just had her panel work done. I think her report came back. I thought it was good.
Yeah. I think her sugar is very good.
I think with Emily, she's another person who's got into living a keto lifestyle, and she's done great, and the results speak for themselves. And I think the coolest thing, I always get a big huge smile on my face when I see your post and you guys have got together to hang out together. I think it's so cool that a lifestyle has brought people who didn't know each other a couple of years ago, and it's brought them together, and it's built a relationship, friendship. I think it's awesome.
It's the most amazing. I have met some of the most amazing people who I would now consider some of my closest friends. And that has been I'm very grateful for that. And just the community. So even if it's not our community, what I would call like the Keto Rocks community, there's so many other communities out there too. Mm-hmm. It's just, keto is just because even though it's becoming more mainstream, it's still not, you still have the majority of doctors out there that really are not on board with it. And so we really have to find each other, right, for support and information. So there's a lot out there, community wise. So.
Yeah, I think now as you started to lose weight, started to feel better on this keto lifestyle, when did you start to integrate intermittent fasting? Because you do intermittent fasting, or is that something are you doing intermittent fasting? Let me just ask the question.
Oh yeah. typically I eat one meal a day. What I have noticed lately is I'm a little bit more hungry. I haven't quite figured out why. So I have now started doing sort of a small snack, I would call it, and then my meal, but I'm still around 18 hours. If I'm not, I mean, between 18 and 20 hours. It just depends if I eat the snack or just my meal.
Now, do you find yourself hungry going into that 16th, 17th, 18th hour? Or do you go, you know what, time for me to eat, I'm just going to go eat?
Yeah, not typically. I mean, I don't like, people will often say to me, what time do you eat dinner? And I go, I don't know, like whenever it's convenient for me to, it depends on my schedule. If I'm have to work late or I have something after work, I just try to fit it in whenever. But I like I said to you earlier, it's a freedom because now I'm not going, okay, I got to find an hour and there better be something for me to eat because I'm going to chew my own arm off if I don't have something to eat.
Yeah, I used to be in that camp. It's so funny because when you're traveling with other people and you see other people and you see yourself in them because you're eating breakfast and they're going, well, what do you think we're going to have they're already planning lunch and we're still sitting there finishing breakfast, and they're talking about dinner, and Peggy and I are like look at each other like going, we can only eat one meal. I mean, we only want it, like we just go, it's literally, I don't say it makes you sick, but you're just looking at it, I can't do that. I don't have it in me to do that. I cannot do that anymore. So it is a freedom that you get, but I also, when I see other people, it's just a great reminder where I came from, because I totally can relate to what they're doing, because I did that most of my life. Brian, kudos to Brian, who has probably the biggest screwed up schedule between the three of us, to keep that 16-hour minimum that you have, in you. Good for you not to go, oh, you know what, I'm on a plane, I can eat something.
Well, that's the funny thing. I mean, Lynda, you said something about that earlier, about how just one day you realized you weren't thinking about food, and for me it was a long transition to get out of mostly the habits of snacking and all that stuff, and especially when it comes to travel. I mean, I used to never travel without a snack, whether I ate it or not. I'd always have something like with my carry-on, just in case. And now it's like I don't even have to think about just in case. It's like, oh, I'll find something when I get to the other end, or if I even need it then. So I can, and that it is a freedom because I don't have to worry about stocking my stuff with snacks in case I freak out. Like, it's not like I'm going to freak out if I get a little hungry or something. And I think a lot of people that haven't experienced the intermittent fasting, they don't realize that even if you get a little bit of a hunger feeling, it passes. Like, you give it a few minutes and it's gone, and then you just, like an hour later you're thinking, oh, I forgot I was hungry back then, but now I'm not hungry anymore. And everyone thinks it's just going to get worse and worse and worse, and they can't fathom the idea of not having a snack, an emergency snack. It's like, I don't know, I've never had that much of an emergency where I had to have the snack. It's not like you're going to die from hunger.
Yeah, but your mind's constantly playing that tape that's saying we're not gonna make it. We gotta have something now, find something now, feed me. And the reality of it is, once you overcome that mind and that program, you're able to set yourself free. And it's a great feeling to know that, when you do those 72-hour fasts, Lynda, that gives you the confidence to know, you know what, I know that I can go 72 hours and I'm going to live and I'm going to be okay.
Yeah. So then when it comes to, like, say 24 hours, well, I've gone 72, so 24.
I can do 24. 24 standing on your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But until you break free from that programming and break free from that substance, what sugar is. I mean, sugar is definitely an addictive substance, and until you break free from that, you're not going to be able to succeed. That's why when people say, "Oh, I tried keto," or I'm on keto, but I could never do what you're doing, but they really haven't gone keto because they're still incorporating food that's really sugar into their lifestyle. They're really doing a hodgepodge of Weight Watchers or low calories or stuff they believe is healthy, and carbs, and it's their version of keto. And the reality of it is they're not keto, and therefore they're never able to stop being at the mercy of that food addiction that they have. It's not till you break free from that you have the power to go, you know what, I can do that. Like Brian says, 24 hours, piece of cake, I did 72 and I don't die. And what's crazy about that is, Lynda, even after 72 hours, you get to a point where you're like, I'm feeling pretty good. You're not even hungry. Like, I could go a whole other 24 hours, I think, without having to eat.
Yeah, I think that's going to happen soon. I think I'm going to shoot then. What's the next one? 96. My math skills aren't great.
Well, let me know when you're going to do that, because I don't think I've done longer than 80, but literally the last couple 72 hours fast that I've done, I was not hungry. I mean, I literally was like, you know what, I could go another day easy because I feel
Maria,
great.
I know that Maria and I are doing at least a 72-hour starting January 3rd. So that'll be posted up on the page, but yeah, we had decided we were going to do that, and I might try. I know Maria can do it day 4. I've never gone that long, but it's sort of a battle. I just sort of want a game that I want to play with myself to see if I can do it.
Let's do it. You let me know when the date's going to be, and I'm going to join you all for sure.
Great.
Brian, I know Brian does like 72 hours. Brian, you want to join in?
I'll be in Europe. I don't know.
Oh, that's right. No, he's got to eat his way through Europe. That's right. He's got a whole bunch of meat. He's got to right the wrong.
Got to do that. They got to eat that European.
Yeah, because I've not been to Europe since I've been carnivore, so this will be fun.
Oh, okay. I'll be interested to see all the interesting stuff you eat, because you like to try. You're very adventurous. Yeah.
Well, last time the other previous times I was in Europe, I was pescatarian, and a lot of times you get to the venue, and it was like lunch meats, but they'd always have the bread and the cheeses and all this stuff, and this was before I was keto. I'd end up eating just bread and cheese half the time. So now it's like, well, I can't eat the bread, but maybe I guess the lunch meat now, but then they take you out to these really nice dinners over there, especially Germany. I can't wait to get there. That's going to be fun.
So, you're really looking forward to that tour, Brian?
The food.
Okay.
I'm sure once I get there, it'll be fun. It's this daunting thing that's in front of me right now, and it's not that far from now, and it wouldn't be so bad if it weren't for the whole COVID thing that's going on. And, you keep hearing about, different countries shutting down and then opening back up and shutting down. And it's like, I don't know what I'm going to be walking into over there. So it's a little bit scary, because I don't want to get stuck somewhere and not be able to get back. Because we've got this tiny little window to come back and jump on the cruise. And if I miss that, it's going to screw not only me, but my band. So.
Yeah. Well, hopefully everything goes smooth. We'll keep positive thoughts and vibes for during the whole time. So you return on time for Monster of Rock and can make your cruise.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm just hoping, just go with the flow and see what happens, but hopefully it'll work out.
Awesome. All right. It's that time of the evening where we get a chance to check in with Mr. Brian Shanker of the Meat Tribe YouTube channel for those meat deals of the week. And it's, 10 days away or 7 days away from, or or Christmas, somewhere in there. We're getting close. We're a
Yep.
week away. So hopefully we got some good deals. So what you got for us, Brian?
Yeah, I've got a lot of good deals. You know, a lot of people like to do prime rib roast, standing rib roast, whatever you want to call it, at Christmas time. And I've got quite a few places that have those on sale. We were just talking last week, Giant had the standing rib roast on sale for $5.99 a pound and the boneless New York strip roast for $5.77 a pound. You had to do $25 in purchases to get that deal. I'm not sure when it ends. Actually, I can scroll up. I can tell you when it ends. Did I have that? Let's see. That runs through, you still got today and tomorrow to take advantage of that at Giant.
Now, is
And
it limited? I thought I saw somewhere on there where the Giant one was limited to one prime rib at that price.
It was limited to one. Now, I don't know if they can tell when you use your bonus card, you know, that like, so if you were going to go into the store, do $25 in purchases and get one, go load up your car and then come back in or have somebody else go in and use your card. I don't know if your card could tell, you know, that nope, you've already used the deal, that you don't get to use it more than once or not. But
I can just tell you from past experiences at my Giant, they haven't limited me to one. They've let me buy as many as I want. I think as long as they have an inventory of it, they're okay with selling them. But if it's a run on it, they want to be able to at least have some available for the people who come in during that sale. So that's been my experience. Doesn't mean it'll be my experience this time, because I'll be heading out there to put them to the test.
Well, the other thing too is I actually, the last time they had this deal, I didn't buy $25 worth of groceries and I was still able to get the deal. So I don't know how much checking is actually going on there, but in any case, so the deals that are coming up starting, you know, the stores that I'm telling you about today, all the deals start yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And then of course, there's 3 more stores, Giant, Safeway, and Weiss. They don't update their stuff until tomorrow. So that'll be included on my podcast that I'll do for Friday. But first up, Carnes, Central PA. Their bone-in standing rib roasts are pretty expensive. They had the same deal as they had last week. It's like over $10, but they've got some choice grade boneless chuck roasts for $4.99 a pound, which is really good. And they've got some choice grade boneless whole New York strip steaks for $6.59 a pound. That's going to be the whole cut of meat. You're going to have to cut those steaks down yourself. But those are the 2 best deals that they've got going on, and their deals run through the 20th of December. Food Lion. So most of the rest of the deals I'm going to tell you about today are going to be the standing rib roasts. Food Lion, their deal runs from today through the 21st. They've got choice grade bone-in standing rib roasts for $5.99 a pound. Aldi, they've got 2 deals running through the 21st, both choice grade. One is going to be a boneless New York strip roast for $8.99 a pound, a little bit more expensive than Giant, but they've got a bone-in ribeye roast for $6.99 a pound. So, all right, we've got $5.99 a pound, $6.99 a pound for rib roasts at 2 different stores now. Harris Teeter.
Yes, I'm waiting for the Harris Teeter update. That's what I want to hear.
Same deal. They've got rancher and choice grade bone-in standing rib roasts or steaks, bone-in, $7.99 for the rancher grade and $8.99 for the choice grade. We're going on like 4 weeks now.
I love it.
And their deal runs through the 24th. So they're running it pretty right up to Christmas. We'll see if their streak continues and they take it into the new year. They've also got some choice grade boneless chuck eye steak, which I'm glad, because I didn't make it out there this past week to pick some of those up. I definitely want to pick those up. Those are good little steaks to just throw on the grill. They don't take that long. They got great marbling. They're $5.99 a pound. And then Kroger, with a $25 purchase, you can get a ribeye roast, bone-in, choice grade for $7.99 a pound. And for him, 2 times the fuel points, so that'll help him out with his gas. And then the last deal, Giant, Kroger's deals run through the 28th. So that theirs is going from the 15th to the 28th. So hopefully Brian either tunes into this one, watches. I don't know if he goes back and watches the podcast that he's in. I'll have to ask him.
Yeah.
If not, he should check mine out because I'll be covering this as well. So Kroger through the 28th, choice grade bone-in ribeye roast with a $25 purchase, 2 times the fuel points, $7.99 a pound. And then Giant Eagle runs through the 22nd. Not as great a deal, but they've got the certified Angus beef bone-in standing rib roast or value pack steaks at $12.99 a pound. And then the prime grade, it's going to blow our hats off, Jim. Same thing in prime is $19.99 per pound.
Wow.
So I'm either going to go to Kroger, Harris Teeter, Aldi, or Food Lion, or Giant. 5 different stores with rib roasts on sale today.
Those are some great buys. And for those of you who have never experienced prime rib for Christmas or New Year's, grab yourself a couple of them and literally feast on that prime rib for Christmas and New Year's. I'm definitely going to do that. 100%.
They're so good, so good. Growing up, if we went to a buffet for like Easter or something, my dad always got prime rib, and I didn't get turned on to it until eating ribeyes. But then the standing rib roast, which is prime rib, even though it's not prime grade always, but they're so good. Now that I've smoked one for the first time in a smoker, I've roasted a couple in the oven, and they just, even if they come out under, because you'd rather shoot for under than over.
Absolutely.
Come out under, you can still heat them up just a tad bit more to your liking, and so flavorful, the fat, and it's just, oh my goodness, you can't beat it. We started adding that to our holiday dinners in the last few years.
Another thing you can do that I thought about after your first experiment or cooking project you did with your smoker, and to me, it came out perfect, medium rare, but I know you're more of a medium person. But, if you cooked it that way, cooked it medium rare, and you just stored it, and then you use your the sous vide.
Oh, yes.
And you set it for your medium temperature and just cook them in sous vide them to that temperature. Then everybody in your party wanted them rare. They got them medium rare. You could have it the way that you want. So it's definitely better if someone's watching this podcast to definitely cook it on the undercook it than overcook it. And if you can sous vide it, if you have a sous vide, that's the way to go to get them to the temperatures that everybody wants them at.
Well, and you're absolutely right. And this one worked out because when you cook those big roasts, the outsides get more cooked than the inside. Then the, the ends get more cooked than the inside. So I was able to cut myself off an end, which was cooked perfect. And then my wife, she likes hers a little bit medium rare, a little bit further into the roast, and she had that. And then that's exactly what we did with all the leftovers. We ate 3 or 4 days for lunch, and I sous vide them every time, and I put them at 130, didn't let them go above 130, and they came out perfect. And the other thing with sous videing them, for me, it keeps that flavor how you cooked it. So if you roasted it, it keeps the roasted flavor. If you smoke it, it keeps that. Rather than if you microwave it, you're going to kill the flavor.
Yeah.
Or excuse me, if you throw it in a pan, you're altering the original flavor. And pan, putting it with some oil and pan is not bad either, but it's not the same as the roasted, grilled, or smoked flavor.
Yeah, I have become a huge fan of, Brian talks about this all the time, is the reverse sear for prime rib. And I'm telling you, that's probably the only way I'm going to cook it from here on out. Because it just keeps it medium rare all the way to the edge. And but I am definitely heading over to Giant probably, and Harris Teeter, maybe even Food Lion. I mean, I'll go wherever the meat's at. So right. But hey, kudos! I love your hat, brother. I love the fact that you're wearing the proper attire to the show. And next week we'll be filming our Christmas show, so make sure you wear the proper attire for that as well.
Awesome. So before you take off, I wanted to ask you. So my next smoking project is going to be some ribs. Now I'm a newbie when it comes to ribs. I've cooked some in the oven, once, I think. And then I always buy them prepackaged with the barbecue sauce already on it. So I wanted to ask you, so there's, as far as I can tell, well, there's 3 kinds of ribs, but I'm not doing beef ribs, the big fat beef ribs, either spare ribs or baby back. And what's the difference? And what tips do you have to keep it keto or carnivore?
Well, I typically do baby back because they just seem to be more meat on the short bones, and so I do that. Now to keep it, I always buy them plain. I don't buy them already seasoned. And then I literally just use, depends on what I'm going to use for it. I've tried it different ways. I'll do the mustard as a base and then put salt and pepper and whatever spices I'm going to have on it. And you can buy, if you want to barbecue, you can buy barbecue seasoning that says 0 carbs. But I also do, Peggy and I will make our own sauces, but we'll put those on there, slow roast them, pull them off at, I think 170. Whatever it tells me to pull them off, I pull them off. And then I spray them down with apple cider vinegar and wrap them, put them back on, bring them up to the temperature that I need to bring them up to. I mean, it's about a 4.5 hour process to make ribs. It's it's definitely low and slow. And then we do another barbecue sauce where we add, I'll put in some swerve and almost like brown, like to act like brown sugar. And I'll, at the last few minutes on the smoker, I'll brush that on the ribs, and that comes out really, really just like you were buying them at a good rib shop.
Okay.
Barbecue joint. So,
making my mouth water.
Yeah, well, the whole time you're making my mouth water. I can't wait I gotta start donating some turkeys to make room in my freezer for the prime rib, because I would be gladly to trade these turkeys in for some prime rib, and I got to do that.
Yeah, nice.
So, well, listen, thanks for joining in with us, giving us those wonderful meat deals of the week. And if you want to catch Brian Shanker on Friday, where he gives you a more extensive and more elaborate deals that are going on in your community, just go to Meat Tribe, one word spelled just like it is in his backdrop and on his shirt, and he uploads those on Friday night, but definitely Saturday you can go check them out. But there's so many deals out there during this holiday season that this is the time to stock up your freezer for sure. Yeah. Well,
a lot of good deals.
Absolutely. Well, look, brother, thank you for chiming in and give us those deals. Go out there and enjoy. Looking forward to hearing about your next smoking project and how that turns out.
Sounds good, Jim.
All right. Have a great week.
You too.
So Lynda, let me ask you, so people watching you say, oh, well, she's going keto, she's doing intermittent fasting, she's lost weight, she hasn't lost the weight that she wants, but she's feeling better. What are some of the foods, what some of the dishes that you like to cook? I know you're great at cooking pork belly. Right, Brian?
Yeah.
Her pork belly was delicious.
I think I ate most of that.
So full disclosure, my husband does I don't do any grilling or smoking. My husband does. So anything grilled or smoked, he does that. I bought the Traeger, but I don't touch the Traeger. So, like, especially in the winter time, I like meatloaf a lot. My family really likes it. So, I like to make that. I've sort of incorporating chicken back into my meal plan, mostly because my family misses it. So I've sort of lost my taste for it, but I mean, I can eat it for a meal. So when they do it, I'll eat it. I have a really boring, I've just sort of pared it down to a couple things that I like to eat. And honestly, most of it's steak. I like steak. I like when my husband smokes, pork shoulder, that kind of stuff. 'Cause you get a lot of meals out of that. So, anything, we're coming in the winter now. So lots of crock pot stuff. So I have, still have roasts from the cow that we bought. So it'll be lots of that kind of stuff.
So do you buy a full cow or half cow?
We split it 4 ways. I got a quarter of a cow.
Okay.
So, and actually an interesting tidbit. So I went to the guy that I bought the cow from, he actually sells, you could just buy steaks and stuff like that he's the guy go for grass-fed stuff. His ribeye, grass-fed ribeye, were cheaper than where I go to Carnes to buy non-grass-fed ribeye. So,
Really?
just like a tip, like, because meat is so expensive, but if you find your local, I guess they're still farmers, that do cattle, you still might be able to get a better price just buying locally direct from, if you're lucky enough to live in an area like I am, where there's a lot of different places to get meat like that. But yeah, the grass-fed meat was cheaper than the steaks at the regular grocery store.
Wow, that's and you know where they come from too. That's another key thing.
Yeah.
Brian, they got meats at your farms that you go to, right? Where you pick up your butter and eggs, or eggs.
Well, the one, Annie Acres one, it's a really small farm. I think you can buy like half and quarter cows from them. But they only have a few, so you have to put in the order like way in advance. But they do sell like bundles, but I'm not a big fan of bundles because it never has enough of the things that I want in it. But I do, that's my goal though, is to ultimately either buy a half or a quarter cow at some point, because I still haven't done that yet. And there's that the bigger farm, Tennessee Grass Fed, that's up in Clarksville, but they're more their prices. It's weird because they do a lot of they sell at the farmers market down here in Nashville and stuff, and that's the place I order online, and then they drop it off at a this organic produce place up in Hendersonville, and I go pick it up, and they seem to be bigger than just a small little local farm, even though they're not really, but they're on the larger end of one of those.
Yeah, the Lynda, on the quarter. So you go and three other friends, and you guys just purchase a quarter share and
we
got
bought
your
a whole cow and then split it 4 ways.
Okay.
Because it's cheaper by the pound if you buy the whole cow.
Yeah, what does it come out, about $5 a pound, $4.99 a pound?
I think so. The average, regardless of everything, comes to $5 a pound. So you're getting ribeyes at $5 a pound, ground beef at $5. Yeah. So when you do it that way, if you buy the whole cow, pretty much every cut is $5 a pound.
Do you get organs included in that?
Well, so the last cow I got, you absolutely can. I took the liver because nobody else wanted it. So I did take the liver. I did not take the heart. They do sell those though. He sells them, the farmer, out of his freezer, and you can buy them.
Wow.
They'll sell you the head if you want it. I mean, absolutely.
That's interesting. Yeah, because since I've never done it, I don't even know how it works. So
yeah.
Yeah, I know on our sheet that we got when we bought the cow, you can have the organs. We selected to have them grinded up into the ground beef, so it's just more density ground beef with all the organs in it. And of course, you don't, to me, I like organ, I like liver, the heart, and all that. Those are all, I love those. As a kid, I loved those. So when people pull those out of the turkey and throw them away, it's like, no, that's the best part of the whole bird.
And then I don't know, when you got yours, Jim, like I took the bones too. I asked for the bones that they.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. So I mean, and I just asked for the marrow bones, so I didn't want anything that didn't have marrow in it. But they cut them up real nice. And
you should get the joint bones.
They have. Yeah, I got those too. I had them put them separately though, because I'm getting like super picky with my bone broth, right? So the joint bones will have a lot more fat on them than just the leg bones, and so then it like makes my broth too fatty for me, if you can believe that. But it does. It that much of a layer of fat is just too much for me. So
it also has more collagen though.
Yeah. I have to learn to drink the fat, but
well, I put it in the fridge, and then then the fat solidifies, and you can just sort of pull that off.
Yeah, I like to try to drink it though, if I can incorporate it once I heat it up. I like to try to drink it, but like I said, I mix them in, leg bones and the joint bones together. I just haven't found the right ratio. So
Yeah, I'm
Now,
always.
I took the turkey carcass from Thanksgiving this year. So that's my new, that's my new thing. And actually Brian Schenker said to me, are you going to make bone broth out of that? And I said, yeah, I am. I took the whole thing. So we'll see how that turns out.
I know that's delicious. I'm telling you, you make the best soup when you take that. That's the best part of the turkey, is just taking that carcass with some meat on it, throwing it and boiling it and making turkey bone broth, or actually making turkey soup, because we just add carrots and add other stuff to it, and it comes out great.
Yeah, that whole carcass thing, you have all that connective tissue and stuff. That's really good.
Yeah, they were looking at me like I was strange, but I bagged that up in a 2-gallon Ziploc bag and it's in my freezers.
No, that's someone asked me the other day, they go, well, where do you just get hip bones and stuff? I said, look, no, we just every bone, every piece of meat that we eat that has a bone, we just throw it in a bag, and when the freezer bag gets filled up, we go make bone broth with it. And I feel that you feel productive because you're utilizing, and I feel like you're honoring the animal because you're utilizing all of it.
Right.
And I just tell you, I think bone broth is so underrated, how it makes your body feel, because I don't know about you, Lynda, but my body truly does just rejoice in having bone broth.
I drink a cup of it every day. So, I mean, I go through it like crazy. So I make it a lot. And actually I carry a Ziploc bag in my purse when we go out to restaurants, because I know I'm getting a steak. So if anybody else gets one, I'm the one going, can you put your bone in the bag? Can I put your bone in the bag? And I stick it home, put it in the freezer. And then also at the other farm that I go to, I buy chicken feet. So they sell grass-fed beef as well, but they also sell grass-fed chicken, turkey, and they'll sell you the feet and the heads. I haven't quite. They insist that the heads are awesome for broth, but I'm not quite that gruesome yet. But I do put the feet in my bone broth for the collagen.
Nice.
Now, how do you make yours, Lynda? Do you put it in the crock pot and do it for 72 hours, or do you put it on the stove? How do you make your bone broth?
I roast them first for an hour. So I coat them with some olive oil and the Redmond's garlic pepper. Mm-hmm. And then I roast them for an hour, the bones, and then I put them in my crock pot and I just let it cook for at least 2 days, sometimes 3.
I hear you. Brian, you do 2 days, right? Is that normally what you do?
Yeah, but I experiment. Sometimes I go a little longer. I think this time I cut it a little shorter, and it still turned out great. I mean, it's like Jell-O, which means it turned out right. But yeah, in that book that you just held up a little while ago, she talks about how to make the bone broth, and I think she said, well, maybe it was for the chicken or the poultry. She only did it for 24 hours, I think. Or maybe not even that long. I think it was even shorter. But
well, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just think the poultry takes less time than like beef or the other things. But sometimes I felt like I had gone overboard with it and let it cook too long. So I'm still trying to find that sweet spot.
Well, Peggy's utilized our pressure cooker, and the pressure cooker, I think we do it for like 4 hours. It's not even, I mean, we used to do 72 hours and put everything on the stove, and that smell, I love that smell. I mean, the aroma that fills the house when you're making bone broth, I just love it. But she found a recipe where we just put it all in the pressure cooker, do it for 4 hours. The results are the same, and then we just pour it into a strainer and just filter it, and then we put it back in and then can it or store it. But 4 hours now.
Instapot, Jim? I'm sorry.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Is it an Instapot or?
It is. Yeah, it's an Instapot pressure cooker. You just sit there and you put it on the pressure, and so I think 4 hours is what we did it for a couple days ago. And man, it turned out great. It saves you a lot of time, but I can be sitting outside, that aroma comes right outside on the front porch, and I'm like, oh, I cannot wait to get a cup of that bone broth.
Yeah, when I'm making bone broth, it'll wake me up at night.
Yeah.
I'm sleeping also, and it's like I'm aware of the smell.
Yeah, I'm sitting on the front porch and I'm like, oh my gosh, that bone broth smells so good. And I literally, the first thing to do, that's why I love when you fast, that first thing you put back in your body is that cup of bone broth, just how good you feel. I mean, I know I keep repeating that over and over again, but gosh, if people would just try that, they'd be amazed at how their body would react to that. Talking about reacting, Brian, what are we going to cook the tongue?
You just reminded me it's in there.
I mean, maybe just throw it in the bone broth batch next time and just, I mean, and just don't even think you put it in there and let it be part of the bone broth.
Maybe. I know I keep revisiting and then I just put it off and yeah, I don't know. I've been stalling. Just I guess because I've never done it before. I'm sure once I do it, it'll be no big deal and I'll just do it again. But yeah, maybe I will try that because I did that with the last bone broth. I threw beef cheeks in there with it just to give it some extra something.
Well, anyway, Lynda, what advice would you give somebody who's watching this program tonight and they've been thinking about doing keto or carnivore and they hear you speak? What advice would you give them? What would you say would maybe tip them over to try this lifestyle?
I would say give it 30 days. You can afford 30 days. You're not going to, I mean, you got nothing to lose. Give it an honest try, 30 days, not I'm buying all the keto products in the grocery store that I can buy and calling it keto. Give it an honest, download a carb manager app. Don't worry about your other macros. Just set a carb goal, stick to that carb goal every day and see how you feel.
Now, did you have a partner or you said you were just doing this on your own from the very beginning because you really did think you were going to succeed? So it kind of took you by surprise that you did succeed.
Yeah. Yeah. And I started high, like I took Dr. Berry's advice. I didn't start at 20 grams of carbs a day. I think I probably did a week at about 100 grams because you're surprised at how many, you go 100 grams of carbs. That's a lot. I can't possibly be eating that. And then you don't realize how fast carbohydrates add up, So I mean, I think I went from 100 to 50 to 40 to 30. I mean, you don't have to go all in, doing, hey, I'm only going to eat 10 grams of carbs a day. I mean, that's definitely that's a lifestyle. That's a choice that you probably have to ease into.
Yeah, I think Dr. Berry's method is a great way to ease your way into the lifestyle, because if your body's been used to having to digest and process 500 grams of carbs a day, going down to 50 is a welcome relief to your body. And you said, you really don't understand how many carbs we consume on a daily basis until you start to look at what you really consume, especially when sugar's involved or you're eating processed food, because you pick up anything that's processed, you'll see how many carbs is there. Right. Like tonight, that Mrs. Edwards key lime pie, it's got 56 grams of carbs per slice, and I used to eat the whole pie. So I can only imagine I was devouring, 350 carbs in one sitting.
Well, just consider the healthy snack of the small bowl full of grapes you were having for a snack. Okay. If you're at 100 grams of carbs a day, you're done and probably way over. So, I mean, it's just a realization of how many foods you think are healthy for you, that if you've made the decision to lower your carbs, you have not everything you thought was healthy before is healthy.
Right. Well, there it is. Take the Lynda challenge, do it for 30 days and see, and ask yourself honestly, how are you feeling? Are you feeling better? Are you not aching as much? Are you more clear-headed? And if the answer is yes, then continue your journey, because there's so much more that waits you before you. And Brian, what bit of advice would you give somebody who's watched it to this point of the show that would be that it would maximize their immune system and help them put in a better, healthier state of mind?
I would say eat your meat.
Exactly. Now, before we sign off here, now where's Kix playing? I know you guys got your normal Kixmas shows coming up. What dates are those?
It's Friday and Saturday. We have Brunswick Fire Hall on Friday, and Ram's Head Live on Saturday.
Awesome. So if you guys are in those areas and the shows have not sold out yet, make sure you get your Kix tickets and go see your favorite guitar playing carnivore and his bandmates rock.
I was going to say, when this is airing, I'll probably be in the middle of sound check at Brunswick.
And then off to I know you guys played last week, and you've been eating a lot of double cheeseburgers lately.
That's my go-to for travel, because a lot of times it's like there's nothing else. So the couple I got the other night, where they were supposed to be bacon cheeseburgers and they didn't bring the bacon. Those are really good though, those burgers. And then I had the bacon later.
So they did bring the bacon eventually, huh?
Yeah, it was weird. It was kind of weird because it was a venue. It was like an event center, but they had a bar and a grill kind of attached to it. So that's where the food was coming from. And Jimmy and, I don't know, was it Jimmy, Steve, and was it Bob? A few of those guys ordered chicken Caesar salads, and they got these salads, and they were just Caesar salads, no chicken. And then I get my bacon cheeseburger with no bacon. I was like, wait a minute. So they brought like bowls of chicken for those guys, and then they eventually brought my 3 sticks of bacon.
So here's a question before we sign off here. I want to ask all, Lynda and Brian, how do you guys cook your bacon? Lynda, I'll let you go first.
What do you mean? How do I cook it?
How do you cook your bacon? Do you put it in a skillet or pan?
Well, now we put it on the Blackstone. We do large amounts of it at a time now, but usually if not there, then in my cast iron.
What about you, Brian?
I'll cook it in whatever I'm cooking in. Like sometimes it's cast iron, sometimes it's the ceramic skillet. And then on the Blackstone, I'll do it if I'm doing an egg with bacon. I'll throw the bacon on first and then break the egg on top of it. But it's weird on that Blackstone. I haven't gotten it down for the bacon yet. I always overcook it, it seems.
This is what I do, and I find it to be the easiest recipe for me. I've done it. I like doing it on the flat top or the griddle. But I'll put it on a cooking sheet, put the oven at 400 degrees. I stick it at 400 degrees. I stick them all on a cooking sheet on the rack, and I throw them in there for 20 minutes, and they come out all crisp. And I love when I pull those out the tray to pull that golden juice, that oil, that liquid gold going right into my bacon container. And it literally looks like liquid gold. So my bacon doesn't turn out great in the oven. I do like the amount of the bacon grease that I get from it, but it doesn't turn out right. I think it's my oven. So yeah, my oven, we got a new oven, and I understand what you're saying, because we have a new oven, and I think I've shared this with Brian, but it's like the temperature, it's a convection oven, and it sometimes speeds stuff up, and then sometimes it doesn't. And it's weird because doing reverse sear stuff, it does seem to cook faster. And sometimes on the bacon, it cooks faster. Like instead of 20 minutes, it may be burnt in 20 minutes. But so I typically would do 17 minutes and just check it every minute until it's crisp, because Peggy loves crisp bacon. So I try to make it how she likes it. But I
So I
do
did want
love.
to show you one other thing before we sign off, Jim. I was shopping
Sure.
today.
Yes.
Found an egg ornament,
Oh, that's awesome.
wait, and a bacon ornament.
Oh,
No steak ornament though, but these are going on my tree.
guess what? I have one too. I have the butter one. I have a butter.
Oh, okay.
The stick of butter I have. So awesome. Well, that's right. Next Wednesday will be our last show before Christmas. Wow. It is approaching quickly.
Time is flying. Yes.
Yeah. I need to go shopping.
Don't remind me.
I have not shopped. Oh my gosh. Well, anyway, we'll let everybody get back to doing their own Christmas shopping. Thanks for tuning in with us this Friday night, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys next Friday. In the meantime, stay safe, stay well, and stay out of that hospital.
Good to see everybody.